It's the radio guy, Mike Prince. Welcome to the Sunday Night Live edition of the Mike Prince Show. Of course, we come to you each and every day right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time throughout the course of the week. And, of course, we're live here Sunday nights at 6 p.m. We got a very good show for you on tonight. Our special guest for tonight will be Athletic Director of Langston University, none other than Miss Donnita Rogers. We're also going to reach back to an NFL former running back and now current running back coach for the Cleveland Browns. That's none other than Stump Mitchell. I'll explain the connection later on. A lot going on. APR report coming out real soon. Letter floating around town about the fate of the Panthers of 2021. We'll talk a little bit about that. A lot of things in the air right now. But as they say, the show must go on. We're down to 3 for the athletic director search. And with the way things have been introduced thus far, it makes one wonder, have we made it that much closer with those who remain? I'll try and explain that in a little bit more detail. How's everybody doing on this Sunday evening? I know that it seems rough sometime. You get a report and you say it ain't so, say it ain't so. But in cases, it is what it is. And as Al Green would say in his song, how do you mend a broken heart? Life goes on. And with that being said, all you have to do is simply face it, deal with it for what it is. No time for pointing fingers. And for those of you who are wondering what I'm talking about, a letter has come out, looked authentic, with the official seal from Prairie View, signed by one Miss Brittany Johnson, who is Director of Athletics by way of compliance. I think that's the official title. I don't forget. But anyway, it was giving the fate of Prairie View football for 2021 seasons. Also, some speculations. All this will come official on Tuesday. Basketball, men and women, both were in some gray areas as well. And if I'm not mistaken, I think track, either men or women's, if not both. I'm not real sure. But all that will be cleared up on Tuesday. And, of course, we'll give you a much more detailed report as far as that is concerned. But it's easy to try and pile all of this on one person. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this tonight because we'll give you a more detailed breakdown about this, Lord say the same, tomorrow's episode of the Mike Prince Show. But it's enough to spread around for everyone. And we'll talk about that. We're down to the final 3 for the athletic director search as we know it. Donald Reed, Paul Bryant, and Ulander Wales Jr. And he spells his name uniquely as Yulandr, Ulander Wales Jr. And if you're going to believe the report that is coming out about APR, and you look at the pedigree and the background of the 3 that remain, it almost appears, if I were a gambling man, who the next athletic director for Prairie View A&M University would be. If you had not researched that before I play spoiler, I'll let you go and research that, and you guys let me know who is leaning toward. A 24-hour message line, 713-570-6736. You can leave your information on there. You guys have been blowing me up, and that's a good thing. I really appreciate that. I enjoy that. It lets me know, A, that you're listening, B, that you know that you can rely on us for being a reliable, credible source. We're not here to have an aha moment with anybody, but as an alumni of this university, of this conference, I feel like it's part of my mission with the time I have left on life is to make sure that we're out in the open, transparent. We love to use that word transparent, and I just think it's something that we ought to really try to live up to. We have introduced, as of May 1st, our newest service. It is the On-Demand Listen Center. We also call it the Telenetwork line. It's 720-721-1558. You get updates, news breaks, stories that we can't get on the air all the time. You can get right there at 720-721-1558. It is available 24 hours a day. And let me explain to some people, yes, we're in this 21st century, the new millennial twist of things, but in my era of growing up, we had what we had called pocket transistor radios. And that's all the phone is right now. It's a pocket transistor radio. So instead of you trying to download apps, remember this data plan and that data plan, just lock these numbers in. 720-721-1558. You need a news update, boom. Hit that in whichever box it directs you to. That's where the information is. We have live Sunday morning sermons on a whole different system, 857-777-0000. And we do live games on that number as well. So we're always thinking ahead of time with service around the clock. We call it our low-tech app. Those phone numbers, 857-777-0000 and 720-721-1558. I'm going to take a break right now. We're going to get our first guest lined up, and that's Miss Donnita Rogers of Langston University. You listen to the Mike Prince Show. We're going to hear the Rob Butler Southland Report. Take a little break, and we'll be right back.
This is Rob Butler with your Southland Report. I'm so excited about Sam Houston State and their chances of making a deep playoff run, possibly even representing the Southland Conference in Frisco. Here's why. Sam Houston State's defense built a reputation as one of the best in FCS last season, and now the Bearcats could have a high-powered offense to match. Junior Donovan Williams is back after ranking second in the conference last year with 925 rushing yards and 14 touchdowns. So is Kyron Jackson, who was the league's third leading rusher in 2018 before injuries disrupted his junior season. The Bearcats also return a deep receiving core that includes sophomore standouts Ifa Dahi, Chandler Harvin, and D. Bowens, as well as fifth-year seniors Corey Compton and Brendan Tibbs. And perhaps most importantly, for the first time since two-time Walter Payton Award winner Jeremiah Briscoe left campus, they have solidity under center in the form of junior quarterback Eric Schmidt. Now, even with the plethora of returners at the position, Nathan Stewart's departure inevitably created a playmaking void at receiver. However, a pair of late additions to the 2020 signing class should help alleviate any concerns. The Bearcats turned heads earlier this month with the announcement that they landed former Howard wide receiver Jaquez Ezard. Sam added to the excitement shortly after, revealing that it also inked a commitment from Cody Crest, a transfer from Harvard. Both players have one season of eligibility remaining, as does tight end Isaac Schley, who arrives as a grad transfer from Georgetown. Now, while not necessarily a need, Sam Houston State learned the hard way last season that it can never have enough depth in the backfield. The Bearcats put this sentiment into action back in February with the early signing of Maine transfer Ramon Jefferson. Jefferson ran for over 1,000 yards in 2018. That's Rob Butler, Open Mic Broadcast Network.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Mike Prince Show Live, coming to you Sunday nights at 6 p.m., 10 a.m., Monday through Friday. And, man, I am truly excited about our next guest. You know what they say, you keep waking up and you learn something new every day. And I'm going to say that for later. But now I'm proud to introduce to some and present to others dynamic woman. That's all I can say. She holds it down now since 2015, if I'm not mistaken. Athletic director at Langston University, none other than Miss Donnita Rogers. How you doing today, ma'am?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
You know what? It's a beautiful day, and I can't hold it no more. I said I was going to hold it to last. Blue skies, white moons, Phi Beta Sigma, and Zeta Phi Beta. Oh my! How you doing? How you doing?
I'm doing much better now. I mean, I haven't met you in person, but just our conversations, and now to find out that you're my fraternity brother. Wow.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I know we hadn't met in person, but we met in spirit. And before we go any further,
right.
Look, we're live right now, and anything can happen when we're doing live broadcasts, right? So I'm going to do this here. It's customarily that you would serenade a Zeta. We call them sweet Zetas. I'm not going to give a serenade, so I'm just going to say this here. Phi Beta Sigma got soul. Now we can go ahead on with the rest.
All right.
How you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing wonderful. It's kind of unique to have the opportunity to really discuss sports and talk a little bit right now. It's kind of seemed like that's been pushed on the back burner for a while. As all ADs right now know that you're in such a state of, is it going to happen or is it not going to happen? So, just trying to have a contingency plan for 4 or 5 different situations on something that seems to change every day has really been mind-boggling.
I know so well. And a lot of people, really, when you break this down, it's broken down, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to college athletics, into 2 categories. FBS and then everybody else, because the dynamics that are affecting them affect those that remain in total different aspects, which is one of the reasons we're excited to have you on here. For those who are not familiar, Langston is part of the NAIA division, and now you kind of in between conferences. I know you had a distinct, I should say, connection with the Red River, but there was a new conference started a couple of years ago. Was it like Sooner something?
Right. 2 years ago. We're in the Sooner Athletic Conference now.
Mm-hmm.
It has really reduced our travel. We were charter members of the Red River Athletic Conference that has a huge footprint from a team in Hobbs, New Mexico, down the south part of Texas. So this was really a great move for us to try to help eliminate the extent of our travel. And not to mention it's extremely competitive. I believe the Student Athletic Conference has more national championships than any other NAIA conference in the nation. I think it's somewhere around 106, somewhere in that range total. So it's also extremely competitive every single night. And we're excited to be there, but we do miss our friends from the Red River. But it's nice for us to have a few more fans able to travel and be on road trips and things like that.
Well, you were also part of that charter member for the Southwestern Athletic Conference. A lot of people don't remember that. 1920.
Wow, you went way back.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. All that getting, we got to get an understanding around here. So,
oh, love it.
Right. So when you got the distinct honors of being charter members of 2 conferences, and that's, everybody can't say that. Everybody can't say that. So you got something else that you can add to the website. You just put compliments of your Sigma brother.
Okay.
Now,
well,
look,
we actually have some of our banners up from the swag. That was one of my things. I guess we got that up last year. We're starting to trying to recreate the banners up in the gym to really kind of commemorate some of our history.
Okay, and it's a very stored and well duly noted to be kept up archive and history at Langston University. Now, before we get into some of the daily challenges that you had a pretty good run yourself as a student athlete. You're going to be modest, I understand that, but part of the success that one has on the court and in the classroom does not always transition when put into role of coaching and administrative roles. What was the secret for your success on the court, on the classroom setting and now in administrative role?
Well, I think that, first of all, I grew up in a small town in western Oklahoma. Pretty much, instead of, I guess, going out and partying, your big thing was to go to the gym and get more shots and hopefully get a game going with some other people or whatever. So I was pretty much just immersed in sports, played softball in high school and basketball. Basketball, obviously, my most favorite sport. And I think just the structure of my parents were hard workers, and we do everything hard. In the classroom, you try to do your best in the classroom and on the court. And one of the things that I think is really important that a lot of students don't do, sometimes they want to go play for the name, or maybe it's got to be a Division I school, or it may be a HBCU, or it may be a PWI, whatever that is. But I think one of the biggest things that they need to do is make sure that you research the style of play and the coach that you're going to be playing for. And I think that's extremely important. One of the things that I know was a plus for me is that my collegiate coach was very similar to my high school coach, and it wasn't a big cursor, any of those type of things, had high expectations, and knew how to kind of coach to people's individual talents, not necessarily cookie cutter coach. And the style of play fit me very well. I went to play at a college where he believed in a single post offense, inside out. Loved it. That was my briar patch. So that is one big contributor to my success, is the style of play that we had, the type of my coaching. So I have to give it up to that too. That's kind of an underlooked part of the overall. Whenever you're being recruited, I think that some student athletes don't always do a good job of making sure that they're going to fit in that particular system.
Which is why we have a bunch of revolving doors with the transfer portals and all of that. But I got to touch on something that you said, and I want to know, does this quantify a good coach or not? I noticed you said he was not a big cursor, but didn't mean he didn't curse every now and then, right?
I mean, you would hear a slip every once in a while, but I'm not. I would have never been great at playing with someone where I had to hear MF this, or I would have struggled a little bit, I think, with that. And so, especially then, I think maybe would have taken things a little bit too personal or whatever. So I didn't have to worry about that. And so, yeah, that would have been tough for me.
Absolutely. We're speaking right now with Athletic Director Donnita Rogers of the Langston University Lions, the Queen of the Pride. That's who you are right now, the Queen of the Pride. Now, it's no secret you're in what is considered to be a man's world in the role of athletic director. You've been at Langston now in that position for 5 years. You've had some success, no fluke, no accidents. Has it gotten better for you to be received by your counterparts on the male side? And what are some of the differences that you're seeing now versus then?
Boy, that's a great question. I before coming back to Langston University this time as an athletic director, I spent 2 of my 3 years at Booker T. Washington High School in Shreveport, and was the first female to coach boys 3A basketball and cattle pedders. I think that the things that I went through, especially my first year at that position, really prepared me for what I was going to experience at Langston. And the transition wasn't so bad. I think I really got the benefit of the doubt at Langston. Whenever I came back, many remembered me during my coaching stint where I spent 13 years coaching here. Our teams were pretty good. We had 6 trips to the national tournament and some things. So I think people knew that I was a hard worker, was pretty successful with having vision for my program. And so I think I got the benefit of the doubt, But a lot of people always have concerns for some reason when women are athletic directors for athletic programs that have football. And that I think was kind of probably the big, I don't know if, she'll be able to do that part or whatever, but we have really I feel like blown up on the football arena. My head football coach, Quentin Morgan, I believe he's lost one conference game in the past 3 years. We just experienced one of the biggest homecomings we've ever had in recent history at the university this past year. Our tailgate lot last year, we opened up the first week of July. We sold 200 spots in the first 24 hours. I mean, so I think that sometimes when you have a woman's touch or a woman's view on something that has been dominated by males in the past, I think that can only be helpful, I believe. And my president, Kent Smith, he's been great. Before I came down here, I was just like, can you handle someone that thinks outside the box? He's like, that's what we need. And so some of my ideas are a little crazier than others, but he's pretty supportive. Always does a good job of playing devil's advocate, and we kind of figure things out. But it's gone pretty well.
What would you say is the toughest part about being an athletic director in this 21st century?
I think right now it's once you commit to that, a lot of people will ask me, it'll be summer, and they're like, well, you must be getting a lot of rest. What are you doing now? When they don't think you work in the summer. And that is, hopefully you get a chance to kind of recharge some during that time, but you have to be preparing and planning for the fall, because so many things are going on, especially in my situation. I have an assistant athletic director, and she's also over compliance. I have my sports information director. So we don't have the big administrative team, and we're game ops, we're everything. We have a great group of students that we have created a program called SAS, and they're all of our student athlete support service that help the game operations and stuff. So we're trying to mentor and train them as well as extend our hands and feet on game day. And so that's the biggest part is, sometimes we even have, I would say, a broader vision than what we're able to actually deliver, but we just don't have the hands and feet part to get it carried out.
Now,
not to mention sometimes the money.
Right. Well, I was just about to say that when it comes to how much of your budget is predicated on you going out there beating the bushes as a fundraiser.
Well, fortunately, I will say that part needs to be higher. I don't think that, especially necessarily the NEI Division one level, that we necessarily have to depend on it to the level that some of our other HBCU counterparts in the SWAC may have to. But my coaches are still out there trying to do a guaranteed game or something to generate some more money to get in their program, just like we had to do in the SWAC. And we're looking for opportunities. It's really hard for them to fundraise to the extent that they want to without bumping heads with the fundraising efforts of what our foundation is doing as well. So that's a fine little line that we have to tiptoe on. We've got another project coming up this summer that we hope to launch that is more technology related with the app that you use and getting money back and collecting donations and stuff. And we're working on that contract with Tap and Play. You'll probably be hearing more about that later on with some other universities. But it's hard to be very creative and spreading yourself even thinner to get out there and shake hands and meet with people. I'm a member of our Booster Club. We go to Booster Club meetings once a month. Sometimes that will often fall on a day where we have a volleyball game or a basketball or something. So it's still trying to just walk that fine line of spreading yourself thin to the point where you have game stuff to do as well as get out there and try to fundraise. But we've had more lettermen interested that are trying to give back, trying to volunteer for homecoming and other games. Giving back specifically to sports. So that part is getting better. And luckily, most of them that played there understand and remember that there is a need and are willing to give back now. So that is improving as well.
Okay, we're speaking right now with Miss Donnita Rogers, athletic director of Langston University, holding it down for the past 5 years. Say she can handle football, No problem. Fundraiser, no problem. Say, bring it on, and we got it. With the pandemic that has swept across the world, we know it's going to be challenging. What are some of the things that you had to go back and reevaluate that you know you're going to do different whenever this ban is lifted?
Man, we have been preparing since that. I was actually watching the game on March 12th when the Thunder, the issue, and everything came to a screeching halt within the next 3 or 4 days for all sports. And, ever since then, we've been looking at, things are forever changed on game day. We thought game day ops was difficult before, but now there are so many layers. So, right now we are outlining things like the protocol for temperature taking, not only before games, but before practice, after practice, doing that light health survey pretty much daily for all of our student athletes, coaches, staff, trainers, and student trainers, managers as well, making sure that, PPE is available for managers for practices on the table. We're looking at what a lot of people haven't even addressed. What do you do for the officials that come to your gym and to your football field, or, we're going to take temperatures for them. We're going to have to do health assessments for them. Are they going to officiate with gloves or not gloves? We're going to have something to wipe the ball off and use more than one ball to ball or, softball, football, whatever that might be. What does that look like? It's endless that we don't wash clothes anymore without gloves and masks on that part. Also, we've written in, like, we prefer that you have white socks and try to wear white uniforms as much so we can use Clorox more. And, it goes on and on. It's endless. We're trying to prepare for if we have no season in the fall. We're trying to prepare if we don't play in September and we only play conference. Trying to prepare that if we have an abbreviated season of maybe 8 to 10 games. Preparing for our commissioners also talked about also looking at, what if football, you had to have the playoffs or whatever, postseason, it ends up being in January or something like that for us. We're trying to prepare for all types of scenarios like that. A 3-day basically integration period when we bring football and volleyball back up in the fall. We have a place here that's able to do COVID testing that gets the results back in 24 to 36 hours. So what would that piece look like? And like we say, can you imagine when all the athletes get here, we'll have to do testing for them. And then there'll need to be that 36-hour to 48-hour period until we get test results back. Now, can you imagine players that haven't seen their teammates in 6 months on trying to pretty much sequester them in their room?
Teenagers.
Challenges of that
teenagers.
part. Yeah.
Look, I can speak for me. I'm old now. I ain't got no problem staying away from nobody, but all that adrenaline just rolling around. Yeah, that's a rough. So in other words, you're earning your money.
We are. And you don't want to make a mistake potentially with someone's life. In the whole scope of life, how important is playing this fall if you lose one or two athletes? Nobody wants to face that. So, we all love sports. Obviously, we have eat, drink, and play sports. And we want to see that again. And that's going to be also a reflection of, okay, things are kind of going back to normal. But, I'm one of those people, I'm taking this really serious. COVID-19 is life or death for some people. And it's, we can't play around with it.
No, we definitely can't. And unfortunately, Coach Rogers, I am running out of time for right now because I got to get to my next. But you got to promise me this. This won't be the last we hear from you. This will not be the last we hear from you.
I look forward. So are you going to invite me back?
Oh, you got an open invitation. An open invitation, and I'm doing that live right now as we speak. But I really and truly thank you so much for being a part of us. I want you to give people information on how they can keep up with what you guys are doing at Langston. Give us your contact information real quick, and I'm going to have to exit stage left.
Okay. All right. So they can keep up with Langston University Sports at www.langstonsports.com, on social media at Langston Sports. And you guys can look for me. I'm on Facebook and, or Donnita Rogers at langston.edu. Drop me an email.
All right. Thank you so much, Sweet Zeta. And you stay safe, out of harm's way. And I will be getting in contact with you. I got to get ready to take a break. We got Stump Mitchell coming on the backside of tonight's show. And as always, we thank you guys very much. We'll take a break and we'll be right back. You listen to the Mike Prince Show live. Keep it where you got it. And we will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Hello, this is Alonzo Hardy Jr., the president of the SWAC Alumni Association. The SWAC Alumni Association is an organization founded on December 10, 1999, at the Sheraton Hotel in Birmingham, Alabama. Its mission is to serve as a rallying ground for individuals who have made the Southwestern Athletic Conference the illustrious conference that it is today. Its membership is open to former student athletes who played in the conference in any sport, as well as to coaches, athletic administrators, staff members, game officials, and fans. Annually, the association holds a Legends Awards and Roast Banquet or luncheon where it honors individuals with Lifetime Achievement Awards, a Chuck Prophet Wagon Master Award, and occasionally a Distinguished Service Award. Proceeds from that event help to finance degree completion scholarships for student athletes who have exhausted their playing eligibility at SWAC universities, but who may still need an extra semester or two to complete their college studies. For more information on the SWAC Alumni Association or to get information on becoming a member, you can send correspondence to SWAC Alumni Association, 875 Miller Creek Lane, Newport News, Virginia, 23602. The email address is SWACalumniassociation@yahoo.com.
We'd like to take this time to recognize our sponsors and supporters at the Open Mic Broadcast Network: Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union, Temple of Refuge Ministries, Prairie View Athletic Club, Attorney Lee Van Richardson, Farmers Insurance of Hempstead, Texas, Diva Skin Conditioner, Helping Hands Lawn Service. Thank you for your support of our local and regional coverage of student athletics here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Mike Prince Show Live, Sunday night edition. We want to thank Athletic Director, Miss Donnita Rogers. We're definitely going to be keeping up in contact with her. Our next guest, some of you are trying to wonder, what is my connection with Stump Mitchell? I know he coached in the SWAC at Southern University. I went to Prairie View, but I met Stump way before I came to Prairie View A&M University. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I want to present to some and introduce to others running back coach for the Cleveland Browns, none other than Stump Mitchell. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm good, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you, sir, for making yourself available. And I was teasing with Stump in the break all the time that I've known him, that we watched him as a teenager run for the Cardinals. I'm not trying to call you old, Stump, but you're a little bit older than me. I never knew the man's name other than Stump, but it's a pleasure to have you on the show with us on tonight. And I met Stump Mitchell during my high school years at Vashon High in St. Louis University. And I don't talk much about my past, and I don't try to say I'm Billy Bad Guy or anything like that. But I got a witness on the other end of this line that I met him in detention. And they had a football program with the Cardinals, and they used to come and talk to the bad kids. And I was one of the bad kids that Stump got a chance to talk. Can you tell us what you remember about that program, Stump?
Well, there were some good athletes in that program. St. Louis is a different place. to tell you the truth. I mean, it was a great place, but you could definitely tell the difference between blacks and whites in St. Louis for the most part. School system, everything. That program was designed to get athletes out speaking to the young men and women who were talented or in many areas other than sports, but just didn't have, I guess, something or somebody to look up to in their mind. That may not be true because you had Jackie Joyner Kersey, you had other people there, but they didn't feel a part of that. And so it was great for us because everybody, for the most part, regardless of their financial situation, the upbringing, they have the ability to watch sports or play sports. So for us, we was just trying to get young men and women to dream to become more than to see that there's light at the end of the tunnel, regardless of where they're coming from.
Well, I truly thanked you before privately, and I'll thank you again publicly. Who would have thought that one of the knuckleheads that you was talking to in the Vashon Improvement Program would end up on the opposite side of a microphone talking sports some years later. I'm not going to say how many years later, but it's definitely been a while. And with that, when you talk about sports, Stump, I love sports for numerous points and factors. But to me, it is the back to the middle subject that regardless of your political preference, regardless of your social status, your financial makeup, sports is a common denominator. And if used properly, it can get through some of the most sensitive issues that we face and deal with today.
I totally agree. No question about that. And again, financially, athletes may not be able to afford equipment as good as some others, but you know what? Most of them are naturally born athletes. So you can always, if healthy, you can run, you can jog, you can do whatever you want to do. And if you dream, you can become whatever you want to become.
Absolutely. I can remember verbatim, you looked at us, you said, man, y'all some big old dudes. You say, and if y'all start hitting the weights, y'all going to get even bigger. And it was, but our weight room was so pathetic that it didn't even, you was like, what are weights for? We said, we just go out there and play and got it done. But man, it was such a beautiful thing. And with sports, you deal with ups and you deal with downs. You deal with highs, you deal with lows. And through your career from high school, collegiate, as student athlete, professional athlete, as a coach, what would you say have been some of your greatest achievements and greatest disappointments in athletics?
Well, my greatest achievement was coaching at Casa Grande High School in Arizona, going back there and having an opportunity to take a program that had not been successful in quite some time and being able to take it to the playoffs my second year there, and also being able to have some young men get scholarships to some major colleges and be successful in college. And probably one disappointment, and still to this day, not having the opportunity to be the head coach at my high school, and or at the Citadel for the most part, and all that's because of the color of my skin. But having the opportunity also to coach at Morgan State and being able to turn that program around in terms of getting the young men to understand that they were there first and foremost to get an education, and then with Dr. Earl Richardson to bring about changes in terms of giving the young men, and well, I would have to say the entire university, their Pell back so that we can compete with the likes of South Carolina State and North Carolina A&T, because they were we were losing some of those kids because they were getting their entire Pell money back in FAMU. And then to be able to go to Southern University and have the opportunity to coach there and turn that program, or I should say, get it back on the right path to competing in the SWAC. And those young men that my staff and I brought in, Dre Joseph being one, he was SWAC Player of the Year. He broke a lot of records there at Southern. Willie Quinn broke records there at Southern, and those guys went on to some of them become engineers, some of them other fields of graduating, and just win the SWAC championship. It was great.
Well, some of your residue is still there in the likes of Coach Odoms, and I know it didn't end the way that you wanted to end at Southern after the Mississippi Valley game, and not to try to poke holes in an old wound. Can you recall how all that came out, and how did it actually go down?
Well, yeah, I can recall. First of all, our first game was against I think New Mexico. Weather was really bad, and this is the first game of the season. Weather was really bad, and we ended up having to fly 2 different planes to get there. We didn't practice, I think, only a couple days before the game because of the weather and all of that stuff in Baton Rouge. So we went there. We didn't play well. We came back, and we had a Thursday night game against Mississippi Valley, and every time we got somewhere close to scoring, it just didn't happen for us that night, and we lost that game. That was the second game of the season, so we're 0-2. That's one thing about black colleges. Sometimes they move on. They think they're doing something, but really God was in control of everything. I had done all that I could do there at Southern. I brought some great athletes in. Those guys, they went on. I brought some good coaches in who were still there. So I had done my part. Every move I make, I sit down, I pray about it. I don't just do it. I didn't have to go to Southern. I could have stayed with the Washington Redskins. Dan Snyder asked me and wanted me to stay there, but I chose to go to Southern because I wanted the opportunity to be a head coach. And even to this day, when you're talking about having the opportunity to be a head coach, it doesn't happen too often for minority coaches.
Absolutely.
Regardless of how much you know about the game, it doesn't happen. So I thought I had done all that I could do. So even though Southern thought they fired me, God was all over that move. I mean, he was all over that move. But I did what I was supposed to do. I got players there that were able to get the program out of trouble academically, and also or get them back in their winning ways.
Very well stated, sir. And we're speaking right now with Stump Mitchell, head running back. Well, I said head running back coach. You got me thinking head coaches with my next question. Running back coach with the Cleveland Browns. Now, you just spoke about the lack of opportunities. The NFL has come out with doing some amendments to the Rooney Rule. And based on what you've already stated, I'm hearing you echo it's about time. And let's get your perspective. You're there in the league. And without getting you in too much of hot water, tell us what it's like being inside the belly of that beast.
Well, I think the only thing we can do, regardless of what profession you're in, I think the only thing you can do is prepare. And I think if the opportunity is going to come to you, it's going to come to you through God. That's just my belief. As many as minorities want to be head coach, you have just as many whites that want to be head coaches as well. So we all grow up dreaming. We all grow up dreaming, regardless of what color you are. Hell, I know I have enough knowledge and leadership to be a head coach, and it doesn't. That problem doesn't just exist in the National Football League. Again, it's in high school, it's in college, major college, it's everywhere. So the only thing you can do is prepare. That's all you can do. be prepared when the opportunity comes. The last thing you don't want to do is be unprepared if given the opportunity.
Absolutely. And, well, you made mention of FBS. To be more particular, it was amazing. It's only 10% of the FBS coaches are in the head coaching position that look like you and I, as far as being African American. And I think it's somewhere around 14% for the NFL. Now, I got to admit, Stump, I don't know where I missed this at, and bring it to my memory about your stint at Seattle.
Yes, I was there for 9 years, actually. I had a chance to join the Kansas City Chiefs. Marty Schottenheimer brought me up there and he offered me the running backs coaching job. And I told him I was going to take it. And I went back to Morgan and I spoke to Dr. Richardson. And I told him what I needed to do. When I was at Morgan, we had, I think, 36 scholarships and we were entitled to 62. Or 63. Mm-hmm. And I told him, I said, look, Doc, he told me, he said, Stump, don't make no commitment without coming back and talking to me. So I did that. I said, Doc, I'm trying to compete. We got 32 or 33 scholarships and I'm entitled to 63. And I said, there's no way we can win. He said, okay, I'll move you up to 62. I'm like, damn. Okay.
You have not because you asked not, right?
Yeah. And then I said, we're entitled to 9 full-time coaches, and then I only have 3. He said, okay, you can have that. I'm like, wow. Then the fields was terrible. I mean, the stadium, everything was terrible. Now I think Morgan has a gorgeous stadium. He said, we'll work on it. We'll have it done within 3 years. So I said, the last thing he said, I said, well, they offered me the $140,000. He said, well, that's the one thing I can't do, Stump. We can only pay you $90,000. He said, so I can't do that. I said, well, if you're gonna do those other 3, don't worry about the last one. I'm good to go. So I stayed there, pissed Marty Schottenheimer off because he knew what money I was making and he knew what they were offering, and he couldn't believe that I turned down a $50,000 raise and the opportunity to be in the NFL. And then the next year, Seattle came calling. And when I went up there, Coach Holmgren asked me one thing. He asked me if I was in or out. I said, are you offering me the job? He said, no, I'm not offering the job. I'm not offering you the job until if you say you're in, then you can have the job. If you're thinking about it, then no, I'm not offering it to you. I said, well, I'm in. He said, well, you got the job. and that was it. For it to come back to me 2 years in a row, I just thought I had done all that I could do at Morgan. I had brought some good players in, got the university to make some commitments, and left the program better than it was when I got there.
So you're like a secret agent then, man. You're an undercover agent striking it for the wheel of the HBCUs. And I know that when you look, and a lot of people say, well, guys that have been accustomed to getting things done on a professional level, when they come to the FCS or HBCUs, it's an humbling experience. What did you learn about yourself while you were on the FCS platform? Well,
I learned that I did for others what people did for me. I mean, no one even gave me an opportunity to play football at HBCUs. I had Ricky Anderson, who played running back at South Carolina State, graduated from South Carolina State. I think he got drafted by San Diego. I think he got drafted by either the San Diego or Cleveland, one or the other. I think it was San Diego. But he tried to pay for me to go to college at South Carolina State. And Coach Jeffries at that time, he wouldn't have me because he said I was too small. I had family that went to Southern University, and they said I was too small. No one gave me an opportunity because I was small. I was only 155 pounds coming out of high school, 5'8", running back, 5'8 and a half. It just wasn't happening for me. I mean, I had all kind of academic scholarships, but only the Citadel gave me a chance to play football. So I ended up at the Citadel. And a lot of people have done a lot of things for me. I never would have made it if it wasn't for other people. So it was easy for me to turn money down to have the opportunity to do what I wanted to do, and go to Morgan and then go to Southern, instead of staying at with the Washington Redskins extra years, because it gave me an opportunity to lead. When I was at Casa Grande High School, I had some very talented athletes, white guys for the most part. And I know some of those guys, a couple of them had an opportunity to play in the pros, but there was also I had a wide receiver by the name of Aaron Jones, a wide receiver and a defensive back as well. And there's no question in my mind, if he was black, he definitely would have been at the combine. He played at, I think, Utah or Utah State, one or the other, had over 1,300 yards receiving, probably 12 touchdowns his senior year, and ran like a 4.3. But he didn't even get invited to the combine. And that was because he was white. That's the only reason. And it was a little bit before his time. So discrimination goes a long ways, it goes many ways. Quarterbacks couldn't come in the NFL for a while. I mean, Doug and Shaq, those guys came but it was just rare. Now you get more brothers coming into the NFL as quarterbacks. So you just gave me some news breaking information that there was at point a role of reverse discrimination. Oh, absolutely. Wow. That is powerful. We're speaking right now with Stump Mitchell, running back coach of the Cleveland Browns. And let's fast forward now to your current situation. If you allow me to say this for lack of a better word, you survive the cuts with the new regime coming in, and you're able to get some things reestablished. You and I kind of joked about it. I'm a Steelers fan. There's no secret to that. But you got a young man that's on your squad that we're actually proud of on this neck of the woods, PV country. He came by way of free agency, picked up off the waivers, Kadaro Hodge. We're extremely proud of him. But bring us up to speed of the going-ons in Cleveland right now as we get ready. Well, I think the best thing for Hodge was the fact that we got him off of waivers. He didn't come here when we brought Odell here, so he didn't really buy into the mindset that I think some of the receivers had once we got Odell. I think some of those guys just shut it down. Well, that wasn't the case with Hodge. He had just gotten cut. We brought him here. He wanted to make it in the NFL, and all he did was kept his head down, and he just worked hard. And he became a pretty good player for us. He contributed tremendously on special teams. And now, he's going to look at his opportunity when we are able to get back here and prove the people that he can play. But all the coaches that was here last year had nothing but admiration for how he worked, how he went about his business. And when given the opportunity, he made some plays. Right. So when you see guys coming from the HBCU conferences, the FCS conferences that are somewhat under the radar, being with how you had to overcome the little big man syndrome, if you allow me to put it that way, does it give you like an extra eye, or even, if you allow me to say the word, sensitivity, to try to nudge those individuals to give them even more opportunities to expose themselves? Absolutely. The first thing I do is go up and smile. I mean, I greet them with a smile, let them know I've been where they were, and that they have the opportunity to make this ball club. If you're here, you got a chance. So, you got to treat it as though it's a business. And I don't know what your study habits have been, but you got to study. You got to bust your butt. You got to compete every day. And don't look at where these guys coming from, Alabama, LSU, Clemson. None of that matters. USC, Ohio State, none of that matters. You're here right now. And that's all that matters. All you guys are on the same playing field for the most part. So go out and play. And there's 32 teams in the National Football League. Bust your butt and try to make this one. But every team you play against, you're playing as though you want to play for that team. So you have to produce every game.
That's some great motivation, man. And it reminds me of the story that you were sharing, how O.J. Anderson, former running back for the St. Louis then football Cardinals, went on to run for Bill Parcells, and the New York Giants actually won a Super Bowl. He kind of took you under his wing when you first got to St. Louis. Can you share that story with us, Stump?
Yeah, absolutely. Back when I came in 81, there was no such thing as free agency, and there was no such thing as changing teams for the most part. A player may have gotten traded, but that wasn't a big part of the National Football League. Usually it was like a high school team. You was there forever. You know, your 4 years or whatever the case may be, you was there. They weren't getting rid of the guys. So the running back coach at that time was Dick Jamerson, who I love. But at that particular point in time, he didn't particularly care for me because he had already had his 6 guys that he was going to go with. And that was it. If it wasn't for Otis Anderson saying, hey, coach, let him play. He can play. Somebody's got to earn their keep. He said, and if they don't, they're going to get replaced. So if it wasn't for Otis, I never, ever would have made the Cardinals. And, of course, I had to do it by returning kickoffs and returning punts, but I was Otis's backup. Funny thing, Otis went to the Giants, but the Giants actually tried to trade for me because they had Joe Morris, and Joe Morris had gotten hurt. Bill Parcells wanted me, and the Cardinals wouldn't trade me, but they traded OJ.
Well, wasn't OJ having some type of discrepancy with front office at that time?
I guess he may have wanted another contract or something like that. Yeah, I think
that's what. I'm a fan. You was in the belly of the beast. I'm talking like I was there, but we knew because we thought the world had collapsed. What they did? What? And so Big Tuna was coming after Stump originally.
Yeah, he did.
Wow, go and figure that. I guess you would have been the prototypical replacement for the little Joe, because he was a little bit taller than you, though, right?
We were about the same.
Wow. Some of the things that you never, ever know until later on down the road. Well, Stump, I know that you're rooted and grounded, and you're going to do an exceptional well job, and I got to be honest with you. I just want you – look, your running backs can run for 150, 200 yards twice a season, but just don't get the win.
I hear you.
And that's nothing personal. That's just I can't help it, man. The first game I went to at Busch Stadium was in 1975. 72. I'm sorry, with Jim Hart. 72, 71. With Jim Hart was the quarterback. He was at SIU Carbondale. He wore number 17. And Jim Otis was the running back. And they were playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I saw them guys in their black and gold. And I wasn't no good ever since, man. So.
Look. I think we play Pittsburgh here is it a Monday night or something like that?
I think so. Yes, sir.
So look, I'll do you this. Look, you find your way here, and I'll get you some good seats. I'll even put you on Pittsburgh side. As a matter of fact, I did that for Joe McIver, my frat brother that works at Morgan right now.
Okay.
I even put him and his wife on Pittsburgh side. He couldn't believe it that I put him over there.
Wow.
But look, I'm not going to have you wearing Pittsburgh on my side.
You know what? I would not do that to you.
Hey, using my seats, getting me in trouble.
I would not do that to you, sir. I sure enough wouldn't wear no brown. That's for sure.
No, exactly. So I would politely put you on the other side and give you some good seats.
Well, Stump, man, look, this has really been a blast from the past for me, and I want to let you know the word of God is true. One plant, the other water, but God truly gives the increase. And I go back to 1984 when I got a chance to meet you, not knowing that I would have a chance to interview you these years down the road. And I want to say thank you for what you've done to each community that you've been in. Continue to keep striving, my guy. and hopefully you'll get an opportunity to get that head coaching opportunity with this little nudge of the extra Rooney process. And at this time, I want to give you some closing thoughts and comments, my man, as we get ready to close out for the night.
I just appreciate the opportunity. It's been great, and I definitely appreciate the opportunity of coaching at HBCUs. I love it. It's the best thrill I've ever had.
Stump, Mitchell, we got to keep this going, my man. We got to stay in contact. Promise you'll do that with me.
All right, will do.
All right, Stump Mitchell, running back coach for the Cleveland Browns. We want to thank Miss Donnita Rogers, athletic director from Langston University. Thank you guys for joining in with us. Don't forget, we'll come to you tomorrow morning, Lord say the same, and the creek don't rise, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time with more of the Mike Prince Show. I must exit stage left right now. My time is far spent. But until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.